Hey everybody, welcome to another action-packed, fun-filled adventure through the Stash Project, Stash Report. This is September 17th, 2014, and we have a little more information we did last week for this video, but not all that much. It's been another relatively quiet week over in Japan especially. We did have a couple of new U.S. kits, or well, they're reissues anyway, come out a little ahead of schedule, so we'll talk about those. We have 5 spot runs from Aoshima, as well as 1 reissue from Fujimi. You want to know the difference? Well, hang on, we'll tell you about it. We'll go to the Notebook of Knowledge ever so briefly here, because there really isn't so much anything really new to talk about, as much as there is some information to cover in regards to existing announcements that we've made in the past, some updates to some kits that we have told you about over the last 2-3 months that we've been doing this. One of the first things is that as far as Hobby Search is concerned, we haven't confirmed this with Aoshima yet, because according to the Aoshima's corporate website people, the kit's still on for the mid-August, but Hobby Search doesn't think that the Crown Athlete is going to be released until December now, which would be obviously a 60-day delay with that kit. And with what we're seeing with Aoshima in general, that would be believable, because again, we still have some August kits that haven't come out. Some of the September stuff is starting to show up, but the newer kits that were supposed to be coming out that are modified tooling or stuff with decals changes haven't shown up yet, that were already supposed to have been out. So it remains to be seen exactly how far behind they're going to get. They, other than those like 5 kits we talked about at the very beginning of September, or maybe the end of August, that were attached to the release information for all the other. I'm trying to think what the series is called, and I've lost my information on it. The rest of the Abana Dika Minato kits that were supposed to come out, they're going to reissue that whole series, if you remember. There were like 5 October spot runs attached to it, and that, so far, appears to be it for October spot runs for Aoshima, after like 3 months of putting out like 25, 30 reissues every month. So obviously they've run into a production, a snafu, as everybody crams into the limited number of places that you could actually mold a model at, both in Japan and China. So it remains to be seen how far delayed they go, or if they're just trying to sort of slow things down so that everything is stocked in for Christmas. They ran behind last year, so it's not a panic as far as I'm concerned. As far as the Notebook of Knowledge, there is one new quote-unquote kit announcement, and that would be the fact that Tamiya has, much like they've done with the Street Custom stuff, is going to be reissuing their in mid-October, their 1/12 scale Team Lotus Type 49 race car, Formula 1 car from 1967. Now, it's a reissue of an existing kit. The actual tooling itself was from 1973. But what they're doing with this to update it to 2014 is much like they did with the Street Custom 240Z, as well as the Nissan 2000 GTR. They're adding some photo etch parts to it. The engine intake area will be turned metal, velocity stacks like they are with both of the Street Custom kits. So again, we're seeing Tamiya not really putting out any new tooling dollars for automotive kits for actually all of 2014, because I think technically the LaFerrari was a very end of 2013 kit. They haven't put out any actual new tooling money for on the automotive side, other than the Ducati motorcycle they made, which isn't really automotive. They've been sort of poking and prodding around at existing tooling, adding parts to it. And, so far it seems to be selling pretty well, because the test for that was the Street Custom Z car, the Fairlady. And obviously it sold well enough, and it was a long enough ago reissue, that they've seen fit to take some of these other older kits that they haven't reissued for a while and sort of tweak them up, because while the 2000 GTR was a current catalog item, it hadn't really been at the forefront of Tamiya's release information for quite a while. It was one of those kits that was something you could order online most places, or most hobby shops had them in stock, and it was just there. So, adding the Street Custom version to it, sort of made it come back up to the top, and it was like, oh yeah, I remember that kit. Oh, look at these new parts. I'll buy another one of those. And I expect the same thing for this Team Lotus. I didn't look up when this was actually released last, but again, the tooling is from 1973. Now, that's not to say it's, junky old tooling, because Tamiya was really into big-scale vehicles back then. So it'll be sort of similar to the large-scale Fairlady, where it was a really detailed kit. It's just, older tooling. It's not a brand-new kit by any stretch of the imagination. So buyer beware in that sense. It's not going to be a 2014 tool. You're not going to get a LaFerrari-esque, car out of it. Although it's, big scale, and big scale for Tamiya was a big deal back in the day. That's really pretty much it as far as the new stuff goes. We're hearing through U.S. channels that the B-Max Chevy Cruze BTCC, or actually not British Touring, the World Touring Car Championship car, is now slated for late October, early November. It still remains to be seen if they make that delivery schedule, because, again, there's no actual official information from B-Max. Today they were advertising a tooling variation to the decal variation to the Celica rally car that they did last year. And they really haven't talked about the Cruze probably in a couple months now. So, it's still on. It's still coming, but because B-Max goes through Aoshima as far as their distribution goes, I think they're stuck in the same traffic jam at Aoshima that all of Aoshima's kits are. They also, the 2014 Nissan GTR update, they just showed yesterday the final revision of the headlight buckets, because it's one of the few things that's actually new about that kit are the headlight areas. The final tooling revision, saying, well, these will be chromed on the kit, which means that kit is still not nearly as close as we thought it was. We had the box art done for it for about 10, 14 days now, and we're like, okay, well, here it comes. It was supposed to be out the 1st of September, but it was going to get delayed into the end of the month. That was fine. But now we're seeing that the thing isn't done yet still. So I give it to Aoshima. They go back and they reshoot tooling until they get it down to what they want it to be. Famously, the McLaren F1 GTR Longtail had 7 tooling revisions to it before it came out, and that was why it was late. So, I appreciate the effort that they certainly put into their kits. A lot of places could take a quick lesson and learn from that, to say the least. I guess that brings us into current kits from round 2. One of the MPC kits is in the Dukes of Hazzard Snap-Tight kit. You may recall last week we were discussing this kit in the sense of whether or not it would have the Stars and Bars Rebel battle flag on the roof, because that technically is what makes it a General Lee at that point. And there is a square decal on the decal sheet on the bottom of the box with no detail to it, because, again, they can't show it on the outside of the box. Warner Brothers owns the rights to the Dukes of Hazzard, and they don't want to offend anybody. If you are into the show enough that you want another Dukes of Hazzard 69 Dodge Charger, then guess what? You know what the roof of that car looks like, and not like they went through the old, TV series and edited the roof off the flag off the roof through the TV DVD releases. So, it's a bunch of hand-holding, trying to make everybody happy and stuff like that. But that kit's out. Again, we talked about this, I think, last week, where the wheels look actually worse on this than they did on the original glue kit. But beyond that, I don't think I know anybody who actually has one, and it's certainly not a kit I'm going to go purchase just to look at it. The body seems to be, average or better as far as proportions go compared to the glue kit that was, was one something, and then it became something else, and then it was a Charger 500, and then it became the Dukes of Hazzard car, and the backlight and back window were all wrong, and then it was retooled correctly, and, so that, it's a brand new tooling. It shares no pieces with the old car, and, some people don't see the point in it. It's obviously a collector's item more than it is a building item, and it is already on the shelf at Walmart. So, it's there for Christmas for the Walmarts that carry model kits, and, people want to argue with me constantly that they don't. But, yeah, they are. There are, Walmarts that do carry model kits year-round, and most Walmarts carry them, and most Targets carry them, and most Meijers carry them, at least in the area that we're in out here in Pennsylvania, Ohio. They carry model kits in the Christmas time. Walmart has always carried models online. You could always order Revell kits from Walmart.com and have them shipped to your store. They always had a way to get them to you that way. But last year or so, most Walmarts have not, but certain select Walmarts have had a model section with Testors paint and stuff like that kind of sort of reminded you of the way Walmart was right when it died out. It's not a great big kit selection. It's not an aisle by any stretch of the imagination, but it was 18, 20 current Revell and AMT kits, and they always sold the glue reissue of the General Lee, and now they're selling the Snap-Tite that we've seen in pictures from somebody in New Jersey. The other one that that Round 2 has out is the AMT 3-in-1 Trophy Series backdate reissue of the 53 Studebaker. I saw this at my hobby shop. It is molded in white for anybody who's curious about that. At least one version of it is. I don't believe it's a dual color like some of their things are, but the one I saw was molded in white. Again, I didn't purchase it. We have a local hobby show coming up here in about a week and a half, so I'm not buying any domestic kits right now because I can get them cheaper at that hobby show if I so desire to buy one. It's one of the kits I'd never actually owned. I always thought it was a new tooling kit during the AMT Ertl days, and then talking to people over the years realized that it's actually a kit from back in the 1960s, and I never bought one after that because it was just sort of a passing fancy when it came out in the, I guess it would be early 90s. And I might take another look at it as far as buying one, but I don't know. It's in my genre of domestic kit collecting and building, but I don't know if it's really something I'm willing to drop $20 on when there's other things that hold my interest a great deal more. There comes a point in time when you have enough stuff on your shelves that you start being very selective in what you buy because you want to focus what limited space you have on obtaining and building the things you're actually interested in, rather than being stuck with a bunch of kits. My domestic shelves are over here. I have stuff over here that I got when I was a kid and put into storage, and it's 20-year-old kits at this point, and I don't know if I'll ever build a bunch of them. I've been giving stuff away at our club meetings and selling stuff and trading stuff, just to get rid of the stuff I'm not going to ever build. So that's domestic style. On the import side of things, this will be stuff we actually have pictures for. One other thing we'll talk about real quick. Now I don't know if they're actually going to come out on time or not, but the pre-painted Toyota 86 GT and Subaru BRZ kits we have confirmed do have the Scion parts for the Toyota and the left-hand drive parts for the Subaru. Obviously, the left-hand drive parts are in the 86 if the Scion parts are there, but they are going to be just basically straight reissues of the original kits, except they're pre-painted this time around. So I know we were kind of wondering whether or not they were going to just be JDM reissues, but they have, from day one, always had the North American parts in it, and that will continue. So on to the new stuff. The one reissue that we have to talk about would be from Fujimi. Fujimi managing to somehow not get stuck in this quagmire of kit manufacturing. Their Porsche 917K 1970 Le Mans winning Porsche here. This came out. It was supposed to come out on Monday, but Monday, if you didn't know, was a national holiday in Japan for Respect for the Aged Day. There's another national holiday next Tuesday for Autumn Festival, which is another sort of Memorial Day for the dead. So next week we might be a little skimpy on details too. That's sort of the problem this month. There's two national holidays. This kit is a reissue from, I'm not exactly sure when this tooling came out first. It is about 100 parts, so it is a little more detailed than your traditional Fujimi kit. It is a curbside. It has a sort of a bottom and a top part of a engine insert there, although it doesn't have a full detailed engine. It's not anything like an enthusiast kit where it's 200 parts and has a complete engine with working pistons and stuff like that. The last time that this kit in this specification, the Le Mans 1970 winning car, came out was 2003 in December, so it's almost 11 years since the last time this kit was reissued. The last time any 917K was reissued would have been 2010, when the 12 Hours of Sebring car came out as a DX, one of the with photo etch kits. Now, if you ever see a Fujimi kit that has a DX in the part number, or deluxe, that's what the difference is. They have photo etch, usually from KA models, thrown in. So this one hasn't been around for 4 years, period, and 10 years in this version. There are 7 other racing variations of this 917K. So if you wanted to make a bunch of Porsches, they do exist. You're going to have to go on eBay to find any of them, because they pretty much ran them all out in 2003, 2004, and then other than the one reissue of that Sebring car we just talked about in 2010, they haven't been out in 10 years. So the big difference, if you want to call it that, about this kit that makes it special is that it has window masks, so you can paint the window trim without getting black paint all over the place. So that's this is the first of we got 6 or 7 of these with sash mask or with window mask, depending on whose machine translation you look at. Kits that are coming out. There's all the rest of those September kits, as far as Fujimi's website is concerned, are coming out pretty much the last 3 days of September, which may mean leading into the beginning of October when you consider shipping and stuff like that. But Fujimi, at least so far this year, with the exception of the car hauler, got pushed back a couple times for tooling problems, has been on time. So if you have any of those with masks, like the Mid 4, the Mid 4.2, the Honda Stepwagon, the Daihatsu Move, the Daihatsu Midget, or any of those kits coming out, they will be out at the end of September. I don't think you're not gonna get a respite from it like you do some of these Aoshima kits where you're like, man, I really hope that kit doesn't come out this month. I got some other stuff going on, and they're like, oh, don't worry about it, Jim. We delayed it till December. And I'm like, well, I didn't want it delayed that far. I was hoping a week or two. Now to Aoshima, these are just straight spot runs. This one hasn't officially come into stock at the one place we usually keep track of, but I got the one I had put on back order, so it has come into stock. I don't know the place that I usually keep track of this stuff at. May have already had some that didn't order any, but this is the 2009 Lancer Evo X C-West Street version. You may recall there's a racing version. The racing version really isn't a racing version. It just is basically the same kit with a different front bumper and different wheels. There's like 5 Evo 10s, and there's 2 C-Wests, a Rally Art, and a couple of just factory stock quote-unquote Evo X's. So, I don't think this tooling's ever going to go anywhere. They updated it to 2009 specs back in 2012, and I don't think it's, they're obviously they don't even make the Evo X anymore, and they're not supposed to be making another Evo Lancer at all. So, if you want the last edge of where these cars were, this is one of those kits you can buy. Hobby Design, which is a Chinese-based resin conversion trans kit and photo etch and detail up part place, is supposed to be working on the engine that the 4B11T Mitsubishi engine that came in the Evo X's. So it may become possible in the future, at least, because it's just in the early planning stages right now, that you'll be able to put resin engines into this kit. They're also working on the RB26 out of the R34 GTRs. Those will be for Tamiya kits, and they'll actually include like inner fender walls and stuff like that, so you can convert the kit without having just a gaping hole with an engine in it, which is what you'd have since they're curbside and aren't designed to have engines in them. So there's some interesting resin conversion stuff coming down the line. But on to the rest of what's going on. The other modern kit that got spot run is this FD3S RX-7 Vertex tuner car here. Not a lot to say here. The FD3Ss were curbside kits, and this is just, a fancy wing and some wheels and some splitters and stuff tossed into that base kit. And you got 3 of what they call the Skyline series. All of these are technically Best Car Vintage kits. They're just in a series called the Skyline. You'll see the box art here in a second. But all of these are curbside. All of them are motorized. All of them still have battery boxes and switches and springs and all the horrible doodads that you associate with any of the Best Car Vintage kits. But anyway, so the Skyline series is out. This is the first one of the they sort of break them into generations. This is the first gen Skyline. This is a 1970 Skyline 2000 GTR. Or GT, rather, is a Skyline 4-door. Obviously not GTR. GTRs weren't 4-doors, but it's a Skyline GT. This is one of those kits that I really like in the sense of what it is. I think 4-door Skylines of this generation were kind of cool-looking cars. But again, you're going to have a cool-looking car, and a lot of the inside and the bottom is going to be very, very basic. There's no real way they'd have to go tool new chassis for these things, so I'm not going to go off on the Aoshima needs to put new chassis in this, because they really would have to tool new ones for these kits. But again, they reissue them all the time, so it'd be nice. The second one is the, let's see, we can get the thing to actually switch, is the 4th gen Skyline. This one is a GTR, the 1973 KPGC 110 series. Again, same deal as the last one in the sense of it being curbside and motorized. These 110s sort of had weird body proportions from Fujimi, mainly probably due to how old the tooling is. If you want a better kit, you go be better off with the Fujimi one. Fujimi makes this basically the same GTR that actually has a separate engine. One of the very few GTRs that Fujimi ever did of any generation that had a separate engine. It was like almost a newly tooled kit. It's better, it just from my perspective. The body is more accurate. There's an engine, but again, they've reissued this all the time. So obviously people are buying it, and people that buy these old motorized kits in Japan are looking to customize them and stance them and everything else. And then finally, the last kit we're going to talk about real quick is the 6th gen, which would be technically be an R31, I think. Super Silhouette. This is a race car, obviously. I don't think we have a year on this necessarily, but the 6th gen was 81 to 86, 81 to 85. So it slots in there someplace like that. This kit was reissued 5-10 years ago with new decals. And that's pretty much been the only change that this kit has ever had since it came out in the 80s. Again, it is another curbside, formerly motorized, kit. So take it for what it's worth. One of my big things with talking about any kits of any generation of any company is knowing what you're going to be buying. Buyer beware, caveat emptor, and all that stuff. But one of the reasons I started doing this video series in the first place was so that people could never say they didn't know better. Now, obviously, the reach of this video series on YouTube isn't that great right now, as far as, we're not talking to 1 million people every week, or talking to a couple dozen maybe. But those are the couple dozen most informed model builders you will ever meet. Because, I don't want to make it sound like I'm self-important, but I try to get the information out to you guys so that you can make informed decisions with your money. Well, the cost of hobby obviously is not going down. It's not going skyrocketing through the roof and can't afford it anymore. Crap that you're on, all these cranky old men who still want $1.69 paint and 50-cent model kits. But at the same time, blowing $20 on something and finding out you got a motorized kit with a, plate generic chassis and you still got the battery box and the switches and stuff would really suck, in my opinion. So that's why we're here. We want to keep you from finding out that your kit sucks too. So until we talk to you next week, that's all we got. There's a said national holiday on Tuesday, so we'll see what we find out. Aoshima up in the air right now with whether or not they're going to get their kits out this month. So it looks like just the reissue so far. We'll see. Anyway, catch you on the other side.